Hello, my people. Welcome to another episode of the Let's Talk About Everything series. It's a new week, and I want to encourage everyone to approach the week with energy, with fervor, and grace will find you this week in Jesus' name. Now, today I want to talk about an interesting topic. A lot of people have been asking me these questions, friends in the UK, in Canada, friends in Africa as well. So I decided to just address this topic, and it's landing your dream job in the UAE, strategy and insights. Now, over the last couple of years of my life, one of the things that I help people do is identify opportunities within countries. Started right from Nigeria, so everything from recruitment, CV, LinkedIn optimization, helping you position, interview tips, and all of that information. I worked for one of the largest recruitment companies here in the UAE. So in terms of recruiting, in terms of understanding what organizations want, these are some questions that I can definitely answer for you. Now, in landing your dream job, I want to start from an industry focus. It's very important that you understand what are some of the industries that pay a good salary and have lots of opportunities. Now, depending on what Emirates you're targeting, because like we know, the UAE is not just Dubai. There's Abu Dhabi, there's Quain, there's Ras Al Khaimah, there's Fujairah, there's Sharjah, that's pretty much. So you have to understand what emirate you're targeting, and each emirate has its advantage depending on what you're looking for. You might like the peace and quiet of Ras Al Khaimah. You might like the capital city energy of Abu Dhabi. You might like, if you like the hustle, the bustle, fun, then it's Dubai that you want to look. So you have to determine based on your lifestyle which of the Emirates you want to select. From a distance perspective, most of the Emirates, the longest it's going to take you to get to the other Emirates is around 1 hour 40 minutes max. So for people that live in the UK or people that live in parts of Africa, Nigeria that have experienced commuting long distances to get to work, think about things in that perspective. So a lot of times we have people that live in Dubai, for example, because they like the evening, the weekend lifestyle of Dubai, but yet work in Abu Dhabi. The interesting thing is that right now they're completing a metro line that comes directly from Dubai to Abu Dhabi. So we expect to see a lot more people moving to Dubai and working in Abu Dhabi as well. So you have to keep this in perspective. Now, so what are some of the industries that are very popular in the UAE for jobs? There's tourism, there's real estate, there's finance, there's healthcare, there's hospitality, and there's education. These are some of the biggest industries where the UAE employs a lot of people. And then from a salary perspective, you can expect to get a pretty good salary. Now, depending on, there are a few things that can also affect how you are, how the kind of jobs that you get in the UAE. The UAE favors original English speakers. When I say original English speakers, I mean you have a British passport, you have an American passport, even a Canadian or Australian passport. The UAE favors you heavily. Also, the sort of degrees that you have as well, the sort of institution that you have gone to, the UAE favors you a lot. Another thing the UAE heavily favors as well is your skill sets. So if you have specific skills, tangible skills that are not easily found, then it's very, very easy to find. I've employed opticians in the UAE. I've employed over 100 opticians organizations. I've employed dental nurses. I've employed different sorts of things across different industries, and the UAE continues to employ for these industries as well. Now, in terms of what's the best way to approach your job search, now you have to pretty much start by ticking some of the boxes where things that UAE is looking for are concerned. Your resume, for example, there's a specific format for the resumes in the UAE, and if you comment on this video resume, I will send you a resume sample format. Now, there's your basic information, your name, your phone number, your visa status, your LinkedIn profile in the top header. In the UAE, we largely favor pictures on resumes. So I usually send certain types of pictures, certain types of corporate pictures that you can add to your resume. Then we have the career summary. The career summary you can get the job simply from your career summary, depending on how well your career summary is written, depending on how you stack your experience and you stack your education. So things like where you're educated, you can include it in your career summary, and the interviewer can already make their decision based on your career summary. After the career summary, typically I like to have area of skills and expertise. So list some of the keywords. So one thing you have to understand about UAE is that there are two ways that recruiters recruit. One, they can use an applicant tracking system, which basically resumes are fed into the system, and based on keywords, it's able to identify certain resumes that the human recruiter can now look at. So in order to be able to beat that applicant tracking system, you need to ensure that your resume is full of keywords. So what are some of the tools that are used by that specific industry? You need to include some of those things. What are some of the certifications? You need to include it. You're looking to get a job in anti-money laundering and compliance. What are some of the things? CAM, CFE, some of these things you need to ensure that you include them within your resume, and the area of skills and expertise is one of the best ways to include it. After this, you have your work experience. Now you have to show, for a lot of these roles, you have to show that you are aware of the top line, you're aware of what are the ultimate goals of the organizations, and how did your role play into those goals of the organization. Whether it's in education and student recruitment, where you're able to help with student recruitment based on the level of satisfaction that people got from being in your classes. You have to be able to show, especially if you really want to get elevated in the UAE, you have to be able to show that you are conscious of the top line, you're conscious of the bottom line for the organization. So your work experience, you have to, your specific role and contribution snapshot. Here you have to show, you have to use numbers as much as you can, depending on what industry you're targeting. You have to use numbers, show some of the numbers. If you're in finance, show how did your role lead to cost minimization or profit optimization or cost client satisfaction. Healthcare, show some of the numbers as well. For healthcare, for example, Dubai has what we call DHA, it's the Dubai Health Association license that you need to have on your resume. Abu Dhabi has its own. Sharjah, Fujairah, they have theirs as well. Depending on what industry, there's this healthcare specific certification that you need to have. So this is very important. Now, after you stack your work experience, make sure you use relevant job experiences that are related to the role that you're applying for. So sometimes people have multiple resumes depending on what role that they were playing within the organization. Then after that, some people always ask me the questions about hobbies. If you want to have hobbies on your resume, make sure you have hobbies that are related to the role. You're playing table tennis, how did they help you with critical thinking that was relevant to the role? Well, for some people, just remove hobbies totally. So you have to just be able to balance it. After that, you pretty much have your education, qualification, and awards where concerned. So that's pretty much how the resumes are stacked. And then there are also certain platforms that you need to have profiles on. For example, LinkedIn is very, very important in the UAE. Have a LinkedIn profile, have a well-optimized LinkedIn profile, a nice picture, very nice visual banner, proper explanation of the role. So many times as a recruiter, we will just go on LinkedIn and just search for candidates. So you have to ensure that your LinkedIn profile is well optimized. Your summary, very important, your summary, your education. Now LinkedIn now even gives extra spaces for you to put specific job skills. So make sure they usually typically around 5 depending on each per role. So make sure you impute some of these things within the role. Ask people to give you recommendations on LinkedIn, an old employer. These things are very, very important. I've even seen creative resumes now that are even including some of the recommendations within their resume. So depending on the job, you just add one recommendation from someone that supervised them or worked with them on that role. This is something to look at. Apart from LinkedIn, there are platforms like Gulf Talent. Gulf Talent is very good for corporate type jobs, for what we call white collar type jobs. So there's Gulf Talent, there's Monster Jobs as well. Monster Jobs is another platform where some organizations recruit from. These are platforms where you should also typically have your resume. On LinkedIn, make sure you set up job alerts. Set up job alerts in different locations, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, depending on what your goals are, depending on where you would like to live. But I explained the location, the distance, so sometimes it's fine if you get a job in Abu Dhabi and you're living in Dubai. So set up job alerts so that you are, and also make sure you upload the latest version of your CV. On LinkedIn, sometimes recruiters, when they are advertising jobs, allow for what we call quick application. So easy or easy apply. That's the language on LinkedIn. So you can easily just click on easily apply and your resume just goes. Another platform that's very big in the UAE as well is Indeed. So make sure you set up job alerts on Indeed as well. Continue to check for Indeed for jobs as well. The UAE government continues to refine things, ensuring that, for example, real estate industry just went through a major revamp where they don't want old listings. I expect some of these reforms to also come to the job market as well, so that recruiters can take down listings from Indeed or LinkedIn once they've been filled as well. These are some things that you need to look at as well. Now, for specific roles, there are specific skills that are required. I have a lot of experience in real estate, so I can tell you about real estate a little bit. Now, you have to understanding the real estate industry in Dubai. There are certain kinds of roles. Ones, there are salaried roles that have commissions. They are strictly commission roles. Most of the developers, some developers are Damak, Shoba, Azizi, Imar, Mag, Ellington. These roles typically come with a salary plus a very low commission, while most of the brokerages pay only commissions, but there are a few brokerages that also pay a salary and a commission. I've met a lot of people right now that are moving from the UK, moving from the US to work in real estate in Dubai because it's a very lucrative industry. Real estate in Abu Dhabi is also coming up big time as well as real estate in Iraq, because they approved the casino license in Iraq. So properties are really selling. So you might also look towards Iraq as well if you're looking to get into real estate. If you're looking to get into education, there are lots of schools. You can pretty much start from GEM schools, and there are a lot of roles in English language, there are a lot of roles in science. These are some areas that you need to heavily look at as well. For healthcare, like I mentioned, KHTA, very, very important that you have your DHA, for health in Dubai, and DHA, there's DHA dentistry, there's DHA medicine, there's DHA for depending on what level of medical field that you are in. Now, from a salaries perspective, pretty much Dubai and Abu Dhabi pay more than most of these other Emirates. Now, Abu Dhabi, oil and gas roles are very, very prevalent in Abu Dhabi. There are a lot of oil and gas roles. The biggest oil company in the UAE, ADNOC, is in Abu Dhabi. They pay really, really well in terms of salary. So if you're very, very specific. There's so many interesting roles. There's a particular role that's called a roaster boat. This role is to pretty much work offshore, and the salaries could range anything from 8,000 to 15,000. And from a skills perspective, the experience skills are not so much, because it's more of an operational role offshore. So that's an interesting role that you can look at as well. Now, apart from some of the job portals I've mentioned, there are specific recruitment firms as well that you can target here. There are recruitment firms like Charterhouse, there are recruitment firms like Talent Scouts, you can also check findblackexperts.com, findexperts.me. These are some recruitment platforms that you can target in terms of looking for roles. Sometimes they have job boards that you can apply for roles, and they are always headhunting as well. I have personally been approached by a lot of headhunters since I joined the UAE. I can easily say that most of my roles have been from headhunting in the UAE, most of my movements from roles. So in the Middle East as well, relationship building is very, very important. Very, very important. Some of those very subtle relationship buildings, the LinkedIn conversations, the LinkedIn groups, the WhatsApp groups, these things are very, very important. So you need to try to ensure that you build relationships as much as you can. Now, in terms of international recruitment, now the industries that recruit heavily internationally are constructions, healthcare, education, and real estate. These are the four industries that recruit heavily internationally. Construction, they recruit roles like welders. They recruit roles like very specific roles in construction and fabrication. They like to recruit heavily from India. They do some recruitment from Africa as well. Oil and gas recruits a lot of roaster boats. They do from Africa, from India, from Pakistan. Education, they recruit heavily from the UK, the US. Healthcare, recruit heavily from the UK, the US, and Philippines as well. Philippines is another industry where they heavily recruit. There's also a care industry here. The care industry likes to heavily recruit from the Philippines because of the quality of service that comes from people from the Philippines. So these are some of the industries so depending on your expertise, just try to look for the appropriate industry that fits that particular area. So this is a very, very broad topic. So for the purpose of this part one, I will just stop here, but I've shared some certain tips, resume tips, platforms to target in terms of where you want to find jobs, some of the industries that pay certain, like hire certain kinds of roles and pay certain kinds of salaries. If you are interested in my resume sample pack, or you would like me to do your resume, CV, LinkedIn optimization, or just have a one-on-one consultation call with you, please simply drop a resume within my comment section, and I'm very happy to have the conversation. We regularly have success stories of people that have helped to place in roles here, so I'm looking forward to helping you as well. Wherever you're coming from, whether it's the UK, whether it's Canada, whether it's from Africa, there are opportunities for you indeed. Thank you very much for joining today's episode, guys. See you tomorrow.